Everyone, welcome to My Final Play. I'm Brian. I'm here on location with former Major League Baseball player Tom O'Malley. Tom, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. Glad to be part of it.
Awesome to be welcomed in here and see the information and the memories that you have here as well. So I appreciate that. So as far as the sport of baseball, where did it all start for you?
Well, I always, always liked throwing a ball around.
Yeah.
Even at a young age, I remember my father telling me that when I was 2 years old, I was playing wiffle ball and really took a liking to any sport.
Mm-hmm.
And played all the sports, all the way up. But baseball always seemed to come more natural to me, and I always seemed to like baseball a little bit more. Even though, like I say, I like to participate in all the sports, but he said that at an early age, he would be out there throwing me, pitching to me wiffle ball, and then, as I got older, I had two younger brothers, and we would go out and hit the ball around, and once we got into little league or whatever. So, but sports was always a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And but just because baseball came a little easier, that was my favorite sport.
Right. So I mean, the passion was there, but at what point and at what age did it really become more of a realization that you could take it to the next level?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate to do well at every level,
Mm-hmm.
up until high school. And I really didn't know once I was drafted, knowing that all the players were as good as you are.
Yeah.
And so I had to experience that. And, once I went out, I was drafted, went out to rookie ball in Montana,
Mm-hmm.
and just to see the level of play there. And the adjustment phase early was difficult. And then after the first season, it was like here in Williamsport, it's like 65, 70 games.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to play in like an instructional league. And there was more one-on-one right there. And a lot of the instructors would work with me. And I had been playing second, and they moved me to third. And it just seemed like I was real comfortable there. And just seemed like from that point on, made a few adjustments that they had helped me out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I was only 18 at the time.
Yeah.
So it was the first time going away from home. And, I had some scholarship offers to play. But at that time, I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I can always, come back and play in college. So I think that was kind of the turning point for me in that instructional league. Then the next year in spring training, I had a really good spring training. So they put me in a higher classification of A-ball.
Yeah.
And that's when, I struggled, got in a slump because I never really, endeared a slump when I was, growing up. Because
Right.
things, they seemed like they came a little easier. And then all of a sudden, how do you handle it when you're young?
Right.
And mentally, it really affects you. And that's really all it is it's a mental slump. So, and I remember some fans were getting on me, and here I was only 19.
Yeah.
So, I was just a kid and immature and didn't know how to go about that. But,
Mm-hmm.
Once I got through that, I finished the season strong, and then went to, and I think at that time, and then in AA, started doing well. In AAA, I had like a, hitting streak of like 26 games, and then, they called me up after that. But I want to say the transition, in instructional league was when I said, these guys are good.
Yeah.
But I know that, if you take 100 guys that are all have the same ability, if I outwork them and I can, show that the good work ethic and good work habits, that I can bypass, these guys. And but you also got to be lucky too.
Right.
You got to be in the right place at the right time. And there was a few people that got hurt along the way, and I just happened to be doing well at the time, so it worked out. But it's a lot of it is timing, But I think at that juncture, that was when I finally realized that I wasn't sure when I first started, but once I got a lot more individual instruction, that really seemed to catapult my career.
Right. So drafted right from high school then, and what was that team that drafted you?
San Francisco Giants, which was to my father's liking. He was a big San Francisco Giant fan his whole life. He grew up in New Jersey, and of course they played in the Polo Grounds there. So, and his favorite player was Willie Mays. So naturally, that was my favorite player.
Yeah.
But he was just ecstatic that, number one, I was drafted, and this wasn't an area where a lot of people would come.
Right.
Eddie Ott and a few other guys that were from around here. But there wasn't a lot of scouts, there wasn't a lot of travel ball, there wasn't a lot of camps that you would go to at that time. So one of the scouts that signed Willie Randolph and John Candelaria came in and kind of gave me a tryout after, I had a really good senior year.
Yeah.
Where I was fortunate I didn't strike out, didn't miss a pitch in high school. And so he came to watch me play, and he liked what he saw, and so he drafted me, and that's when I went out to Great Falls, Montana, my rookie year, and everything was a first. So I was on my own. There were no, obviously, we would write letters at that time. There were no cell phones, nothing. So, and by the time I'd get it, the news was late. That was it. But anyhow, that was, I think what really helped me too is I was able to stay with a family.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, coming out of college or high school, they were, staying in apartments by themselves or with a roommate. But being that, it was a little easier transition, that family atmosphere where, they would come pick us up and drop us off. And I think that made it a lot easier. And there was a guy, I don't know if you recall the guy's name, but Scott Gereltz was my first roommate. He was an all-star with the San Francisco Giants, but he came from a town of like 600 people.
Yeah.
So he was real shy at the time, but it worked out where, and at the time you don't realize that on your rookie ball team, you think every player makes the major leagues, but that's a long way from making the major leagues. So we had like 6 or 7 guys that ended up making it, but usually it's like one guy.
Oh, wow.
But you don't think that way at the time. You think, oh my God, we're here, and
we're all going.
Yeah, it's going to be an easy road, but far from the truth. So obviously every day was an invaluable experience, and I just tried to learn as much as I could, as early as I could, and continue to improve and continue to get better. But I think obviously the message is it's all about the work that you put in.
Yeah.
That's because there's so many people that have so much natural ability.
Right.
And everybody was gifted with that, at that level, and it's just a matter of how you apply it and how you, what you do with it.
Absolutely. There's always somebody out there working harder.
Exactly.
And putting in more time. So.
And then some people get distracted for the wrong reasons, whatever that might be, and you try to stay on that track, and you try to stay focused and try to concentrate as much as possible, because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you try to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So you were with 6 different teams then in the major leagues, and then spent 6 years over in Japan. Let's go through a little bit of that. Like, what were those transitions like, and just the overall experience?
Well, being drafted with the Giants, and then I was the youngest player in the major leagues when I was 21. I got called up. A guy named Reggie Smith got hurt. Darrell Evans moved to first. I played third. First game was in New York City. I came from Arizona. I was playing AAA. They took me off the field in like the 6th inning, and I was mad.
Yeah.
They took me out of the game, And I had, like I said, I had a hitting streak going at the time, and I didn't appreciate the manager taking me out. But no, then when he told me that I was getting called up, then it was okay.
Yeah.
So I flew all night from Arizona, because the Giants were in New York playing the Mets for a day game. So obviously didn't sleep at all. I was so excited, and the word spread quick around here that was the case, that I got called up. So then once I got to the stadium, Frank Robinson was the manager.
Yeah.
So he calls me in his office, and he says to me, he said, Tom, congratulations, but just curious to where you would like to hit in the lineup. And I'm like, where I would like to hit? I just would like to play, So I said, well, I'd like to hit third if that's possible. So that's where they put me in the lineup, hitting third. We had Joe Morgan. We had a lot of these, great players from all these years, Jack Clark and so anyhow, they put me in there, and I was fortunate to get off to a good start. And the second day, Mother's Day in New York, I hit a home run, and obviously a lot of O'Malley's and friends and family members were there.
Yeah.
I was coming around second base, and I looked up and down the aisles. They were running up and down the aisles, all the O'Malleys, and they were all pumped about it. So it was the second day. First day I was fortunate to get a hit. Second day, home run, and had a good day, and did well early, and then there were some adjustments that everybody has to go through at the major league level. They get to know you quick, and there's obviously the best of the best there. So I was there a couple of years, and I was traded, and the way I always looked at it, if I went to another team, that they were interested in acquiring me.
Yeah.
And I didn't look at it in a negative way. I looked at it in a positive way that, hey, here's another opportunity. They want your services, so make the best of it, make the most of it. And that's what I did. So, and then, ended up playing with the Mets here in the United States. And, was fortunate to play with Strawberry and Cone and Gooden and all those guys. And we had some really good years there, 89 and 90 with them. And that was my last team here. And then, still had a good chance to come back with the Mets the following year, but was offered an opportunity to play in Japan. And I wasn't playing every day, so decided to take that opportunity and go to Japan and see what that would be like and go for a year. And it turned into 6 years and really enjoyed my experience over there. And, again, it's what you make of it, and I was fortunate to do well there.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you achieved over there was an MVP, both in the league as well as in the championship series, correct?
In the Japan series.
Yeah. So, just give us a little bit of background on that as far as how that came about.
Yeah, we had a really good team. We won. Matter of fact, you recall Hideki Matsui?
Mm-hmm.
He was playing with the Yomiuri Giants. He made the last out where we won the pennant.
Yeah.
And we end up playing Ichiro. So obviously a lot of these great players that were playing in Japan that have come over to the United States and really excelled as well. Matter of fact, Ichiro's still playing. He played in Japan yesterday or something. So, but we ended up winning the Central League, which is like the National League.
Mm-hmm.
And, at that time, that was my 5th year in Japan. So had a lot of experience in Japan. And I just love playing when, in those situations, pressure situations or big games or that's, some people have a little trouble and they struggle but I think because of, I was enough experience in the United States and Japan and took, combined them and was really fortunate to do well in the Japan series and help our team win a Japan series title and had a real good year during the year as well. So, and, certainly was recognized for MVP in the league and in the series. So hasn't been done too many times, that's for sure. So I was very, very appreciative of that.
That's awesome. So, as far as the whole idea in general, the My Final Play, walk us through, I guess, both here in the States with the Mets organization as well as Japan.
Well, my final play in Japan, and I knew it was going to be my last year in Japan. I had played there 6 years, and it was time. I was drained, and like I said, did well there. But I had 98 RBIs in Japan, and I had 2 runners on base, and it was my last at bat. And the manager asked me if I wanted to play or not, because by that time we were in the playoffs, and he wanted to give me a day off, but I said no. I'd like to get that big number if I could.
Yeah.
And so I remember Saito, who pitched here in the major leagues as well for the Dodgers. He was the pitcher, and there was runners on second and third. So I just had, all I had to do was bloop one in or somehow get a base hit, 2 runs would score, and I would attain the goal of 100 RBIs. But unfortunately, I got 2 strikes on me and grounded out to second. And, I knew it was a little disappointing because it was going to be my last at-bat in Japan.
Right.
And then certainly would have liked to have better results. But I know that I had, had a good career over there and certainly was thankful for that opportunity to play there. But unfortunately grounded out, ended the game. As a matter of fact, I was the last out. And, and then we went in the playoffs. But that was the final play there during the season. And then with the Mets, obviously that's when I went to Japan. So I came back the next year and was in Major League Spring Training with the Rangers.
Okay.
And, this was late in March, about this time, where they, send guys down or who makes the roster or whatever. And I got a base hit. And I was called into the manager's office, and he asked me if I, because he said, well, we like you, but, obviously the roster was tight, so we're going to send you down. And I didn't realize that would be my, last at-bat or last play here in the United States. And it was, I didn't accept the offer to go to AAA and decided to come back home, and that was it as a player. So, but yeah, and then, after a while it hits you that, I enjoyed the time off because, I'd playing almost 20 straight years, and it's hard because you really don't, you're used to at that specific time of playing, and then all of a sudden you're not. So, but I was able to do some things that I wasn't obviously accustomed to doing. So that year I took off, 97, and then 98, Bobby Valentine recommended me to manage in independent league. So I managed there for 4 years.
Okay.
And had Jose Canseco and his brother and Ricky Henderson and a lot of great major, Jim Leyritz and all those guys.
Oh, wow.
So I managed a lot of good players, and that was a great experience, So I got back into it and just happened to be on the other side as a manager. And, you always wonder as a manager, who are you going to be like, Are you going to take a little bit of this guy? Are you going to take a little bit of that guy? And that's kind of what I did. I played for Earl Weaver. I played for Frank Robinson. Played for Bobby Valentine. Played for a lot of great managers. So you take a little bit from each one, and that's that's kind of your makeup as a manager.
Right.
But being a player's manager, and a lot of guys I played with ended up coming back and playing for me in Japan. So it was kind of neat, and I was in Newark, New Jersey, and really had a great time there as a manager. So.
Yeah.
So that lasted 4 years. So I, still staying involved in the game,
Right.
which was neat. So
as far as, like you said, that it hit you afterwards, with those emotions, up until that point, your identity was a baseball player. So when that ended, how did that transition into, the management, like you were saying?
yeah, like I say, it at first it doesn't, but then it sets in.
Yeah.
That wow, I'm done as a player, and it takes a little while, and then when reality sets in, okay, now what? It's like, all right, I was able to trick them as long as I did, for a couple extra years there or whatever, because there's so many great players, but as a veteran player, you just try to get by on experience. So I knew I wanted to stay in the game. I knew I wanted it because I was, very fortunate that a lot of people taught me a lot of things, and I just try to pass that wisdom on, or that experience or that knowledge on to whoever. And I didn't know at what level it would be, but initially it was at that professional level, guys that weren't in an organization, in independent league. So that's where I started, and and then to this day, up until now, that's what I'm doing. I'm coaching and trying to give back to people that. A lot of the things that I learned. So, and I enjoy now working with kids, and, I'm helping young kids and coaching softball girls now, which I never thought I'd be doing. But you never know where life's going to take you. But I knew I'd still be involved somehow. And like I say, any way to give back, and just thankful for the opportunity I had. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. Not only if we can pass on life lessons as coaches now, but we can, help them get better, help them develop their skills, and hopefully make them a better person. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So obviously your career was fulfilling, 20 plus years. If you could go back to a younger you, what's one thing that you would give yourself as advice to kind of better help you or make things a little bit different if you could?
Yeah, there's, obviously you wish you had the knowledge you did, years later, but, there's so many things. It's like when you were younger, it's just like you just reacted instinctively, and you just had that natural ability or whatever, or you were certainly gifted, but, it's just, there's so much that you learn along the way. But I remember, and I think, and I always thank my father for this, where when I was like in Little League, I would do well. But, I'd come home and he'd be like, I didn't like your attitude today. Or, maybe there was body language that, that he wasn't appreciative of. And that to me was a life lesson, that just because you did well, maybe he didn't like how you handled yourself or how you conducted yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for young kids, because, you don't have to say anything, but it's just the way, whether your arm, your shoulders are drooping, or you have that body language that speaks volumes and tells you a lot about a person.
Right.
Even though, sometimes you're doing bad, that's the way they are. But he mentioned that, and he singled that out to me. And I think that was really important lesson that I learned early. It's not all about doing well. You have to have a good attitude, and, you have to be very coachable, and whatever the coach tells you to do, you do it, and you don't complain, and I think that's what, very, very important message, for kids is, just try to be very coachable and try to, listen and obviously coaches that are there's a reason why they're there,
Right.
I mean, they want to pass on what they've learned. So, and there's a lot of good coaches along the way, but I think some of those things that really helped me, as a young player, young person, whether it was at the Little League level or high school level, and I think try to play as many positions as possible.
Yeah.
I think that helps, where you're not singled out or stereotyped as one particular position, whatever sport that might be,
Yeah.
because it makes it easier for coaches to play somebody,
Who's
if they
willing
can,
to do it.
yeah, if they can play and to me that was always my motto. Just especially when I got in at the major league level, was just give me a locker. I didn't care. Just give me a uniform, and I'll play wherever you want me to play. I'll be. And I think the best thing that people can be known as is as a good teammate.
Right.
I think it that sums up everything. Hey, he was a good player, or he did a lot of things, sacrificed here. But if you're known as a good teammate, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
When people say that about you, that's an honorable thing to be known as. And I think, that's what I tried to be. Was a player that had good character and okay, he was a pretty good player, but he was a good teammate.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you really strive to be. And I think that really would help kids along the way, is to just try to be a good teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
So
awesome.
That's important. Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
And everyone, I hope you also enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe below. And remember, whatever it is that you do today, approach it with the mindset of, is this my final play? Thanks a lot.
Because you never know. You never
No.
know. Well, Ichiro and I were MVP in the Japan League. He was in the other league. I was in what is like the National League. He was in the American League.
Yeah.
And we beat him in the Japan Series, 1995. And that was a lot of stuff from there. That was our team that we won it with there. And there was a Golden Glove. Yeah, it was just some good memories there. That's it. A lot of...
And it was a 2-time MVP?
No, just one.
Oh, okay.
One MVP of the Central League and one in the Japan Series.
Yeah.
That had a good, and usually that doesn't happen where, winning the MVP, it's usually a Japanese guy. It's not usually a foreign guy. So kind of had to stand out. And then in the Japan Series, had a real good series.
Yeah.
They did that dynamic English. It sold over 1 million copies.
Really?
They asked me to sing we have a fight song on our Japanese team in Osaka there.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to do the national anthem here, and then the 7th inning stretch, and then English translation, way to swing the bat, way to hit the ball, whatever, and it just took off. And people, I can't sing a lick.
Yeah.
It's not one of my better traits, but people just, they admired just where I, would translate and just by doing it, and appreciated doing it, and they respected like I said, I did the old gong show. I'd get gonged in that, but yeah, that was, and now it's out on iTunes, as a matter of fact. So
it's still being downloaded today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they went, obviously obsolete with the CD, but so, some good memories there, that's for sure. And you don't know what to expect when I went over there, because I was with the Mets and playing here in the major leagues, and figured, hey, it's a good opportunity, and see, I wasn't playing every day at the time, so figured give it a shot, and there I was 6 years later, still playing in Japan. So, and I've been over there every year since 1991 at some time.
Really?
So this would be my 28th year going over. whether it was coaching, playing, scouting. Last year I got a Lifetime Achievement Award over there.
Oh wow.
So it was neat. Yeah. So it really, and it's like anything. It's what you make of it. You know, you go over there with the right attitude. You know, saying, hey, you know, we don't do it this way in the States. You know, they don't want to hear that. You
Right.
know, you go over there, you got to adapt to their style, their culture. You
Absolutely.
know, and if you do that, you know, good things will happen. So now it's the only foreign hitter to hit over 300 6 straight years. It's never happened. There was one guy that hit 5 out of 6, but I was the only guy, even to this day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you know, going over there was a lot of uncertainty, but you know, like I say, it's what you make of it, and kind of like if someone's in the military, you know, you got to move and
Right.
you got to meet new friends, and like you say, you like to meet new people and
Yeah.
go out there and enjoy yourself. So, and you know, the baseball was a little different. You just gotta, you know, I tried to learn a word a day.
Yeah.
From my interpreter, because you know that would help me a little
Right.
more freedom, a little more flexibility going out and ordering food, and that's what I did, and that way I eventually didn't need, you know, the interpreter, so it was good. And
Cool.
then as a coach, being involved in team meetings and everything, I would understand the Japanese, so
Right.
it was
Well,
good.
and I'm sure that also built a huge, built a better relationship with your teammates.